All right, everybody, welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. Every Tuesday, 9 o'clock, we are here to bring the mortgage industry the best sales meeting of the week. I used to always say I want to bring the best sales meeting of the day. No. Best sales meeting of the week, which I think with today's guest, top realtor, Glenn Bill. Heat is on, brother. How you doing, man?
Good. Love the heat. Love the heat. There was plenty of it this weekend. Happy Memorial Day to all of our veterans who are on, who are listening and watching us. And hopefully we'll give you some great thoughts on how to become more attractive and quote unquote contagious. Tough word, I know. I hope everybody's surviving the coronavirus well in the mortgage coach community and nobody has suffered any peril or too much damage. And it was fun, our talk about, this word called contagiousness. And being contagious, when you are contagious, just like the coronavirus, right? People become attracted to you. People become attracted to what you're saying. People, without even trying, glob onto you. And that's what we're going to try to create in this hour, this 45 minutes that we have is, how are you going to become, contagious to a real estate agent, right? And I always love to ask the question, how many real estate agents are calling you saying, hi, I need a lender and I could use your help? And the answer is not enough. And that's because you're not contagious enough. And so we're going to talk about this thing called the new normal, because it is new. Things are changed forever. I'm convinced of that. I do believe that things will come back to normal. From what I'm hearing, the masterminds that I'm with and the thought people that I'm with, I think it wouldn't surprise me if we're in for 16 months of still doing business different. And then the question is are you prepared for it? Are you aware of what the new normal is? Are you making things happen? Are you watching things happen? Or are you sitting there going, what the hell just happened? And hopefully that's what we're going to be sharing today. Hopefully you'll take some nuggets. Hopefully you'll look at your business. This is meant to be a interior, inside the mind and heart of all of the Mortgage Coach participants. A great time to inventory. Summer has started. June, last month of the second quarter, is getting ready to hit. You got third and fourth quarter that you're positioning for. And I think third quarter strategy is going to lead to fourth quarter production. And how are you positioning yourself to become more attractive and contagious? And hopefully through Dave and mine's discussion, and hopefully what I really love when I'm on Mortgage Coach is for you guys to start banging questions and comments and putting them in the comment bar and the chat bar. So I just don't sit here and talk. I give you what you want. I try to give you answers that are important. So I'm here for you. You got me for the time being, and it's an honor to be here, Dave. I love the Mortgage Coach community. I'm a participant. I learn from everybody that's on here, and I follow and watch every episode. So it's so great to be here.
So thank you, brother. So for anyone that doesn't know who Realtor Glenn Bill is, he is an agent out of Indianapolis. He closes over 120 transactions annually. I've interviewed you. I think this is the 5th time this year, and we had a little Wednesday mastermind going, and so we'll do a little debrief on some of the takeaways of that, where I was bringing him in on Wednesdays, and we were just freestyling around what do top agents want. And so first of all, thank you. When this COVID thing happened, you jumped right in and said, Dave, let me help. And I really appreciate that. So guys, if you have questions, you've got not only a top performing realtor, but guys, you have a top performing realtor that will be more candid than most realtors out there. I mean, that's the thing I love about him. He is a former high school football coach. Well, even though he's not active right now, he is a high school football coach. And he likes to be candid. He gets a little joy out of just saying things brutally honest. So one of my all-time favorite interviews was where we talked about what do realtors really think about loan officers marketing. And we just pulled up marketing. And then Glenn would just, boom, tell you what he really thinks. Yeah, remember that?
I do.
I actually had a mortgage executive, mentioning no names, who watched that interview. And I was in the sales process, getting them to be an enterprise client. And he goes, Dave, we're ready to do a deal with you. But you know that interview you did with Glenn Bill? One of those marketing pieces was from our company, and really appreciate if you took that down. And it was great. But it was, dude, you just said how you felt about it. So Glenn, you said something that I know you've got kind of a structured conversation, but you said something that a lot of people you're talking to are saying we're going to be in this for like 16 months.
Yeah.
And before we get back to as close to normal as we ever had it, what are some of the things from a realtor and a lender's perspective that are going to be different for the next 16 months in your view, or what are you planning for?
Right. So I think what we'll do is kind of start with this acronym called HUSTLE, right? I believe that you got to be hustling. The question is how much are you hustling? And is the marketing that you're putting out there for realtors, does it hit on each one of these letters in the word hustle? And so I'll just run through that very quickly. And I'd love to know in the thoughts and your comments below how this is going to be different. I'm not sure the H in hustle is for you got to have heart. Like your heart at this point has to be into your business more now than ever. And what I'm really talking about is this thing called empathy. There are realtors who are suffering. There are realtors that aren't doing well. There are realtors that are doing great, right? But their businesses have shifted. And it's your goal as a loan originator to really have the heart and the empathy and to ask them, to start asking agents, tell me what's happened. Tell me how it's affected you. Take notes and then tell me how I can help. And I think that, that approach now more than ever, more than, hey, we can get rates. We have a 30-day closing guarantee. We have a closing cost guarantee. The quote unquote sales, the presentations, the slides, the scripting. I think, look, I'm as big a fan of scripting as anybody is. But I think the H, that have a heart and to really start putting the heart into your business and to your clients and into the realtor community is going to be the people that I see that wins the most. And just to digress, we did a 4-part series, Why Realtors Need a Rock Star Loan Originator. It's on Mortgage Coach. And we took 4 top agents and we asked them, if a loan originator called you today and said, hey, would you be on a Zoom call with me? And would you like to invite your whole client base to be on your Zoom call? Because getting your client base involved with you through social is a very good idea for referrals and more business. Would you let that loan originator do it? And all 4 of the top producers said yes. And then I said, how many loan originators have called you to ask if you would do it? And I think 3 out of 4 said 0, and one of them said 1. So here's what I know. 4 top agents, not one loan originator came with this idea. This is an idea put forth by Dave and I on our 4-week thing. What do realtors need most? What do realtors want most? Then we did a top collaboration to show you how to do a Zoom call and how to strategize. So if you haven't watched those videos, I would go back through Mortgage Coach. That's almost like a 4-week, 4-hour course for realtor engagement and tips from myself as a realtor. So I also want to let you know that I have a private Facebook group called Source of Sales, High Performance Sales for Realtors and Loan Originators. It's a realtor loan originator collaboration. I train realtors and loan originators all over the country, and that's a great place to continue to get mind thoughts. And I hope that you join and ask for an invite. And one of the best things you can do is invite your realtors. Every Wednesday at 3, I'm on doing realtor training like crazy. So that is the have a heart piece, and it's really engaging at that higher level. And I think we need to look at, am I, just sending the flyers? Am I just writing a check? And I mean, I get them every Monday in my mailbox. I get fans and dog brushes and spatulas And all it does is it doesn't create positive emotional residual for me. So that's what I'm looking to do. You and hustle is uplift. And the bottom line is are you uplifting yourself? How are you showing up? How are you starting your day? Or are you stuck in this thing called COVID-19? Are you stuck in this new normal? Are you worried about what's going on? And when you talk to realtors, when you talk to customers, when you talk to anybody, do you have a mindset that I am going to make people feel better after they talk to me than they did before they talked to me? And look you got to hustle. To have an uplifted attitude, you got to hustle. I also want to remind you on the source of sales high performance thing, I did 35 13-minute videos when COVID broke out because we believe that attitude can be trained. And so I have 35 13-minute attitude trainings and what we called attitude workouts on that you can check out. Obviously, we have our podcast too, the Get Attitude podcast we'd like you to hit, and like us on social media. So uplift, is that your mission for the day? It is like, are you waking up saying, I'm going to have heart and I'm going to uplift everybody? Because when you do, it will allow you to engage with more people. And that is S. I'm telling you this, social media is it. Like if your social media footprint hasn't 10x'd during this time, you haven't been working. I did those 13-minute, 35-minute, those 35, 13-minute attitude workout videos, right? I mean, when COVID hit, I said, all right, I got to do something. I had a mentor and he said, Glenn, do it. And we ran our engagement up to 60,000 people. That's insane. While other people, other speakers, other trainers did nothing. I was increasing. The question is what is your footprint? What do you want your footprint to be? Do you have a strategy to increase your footprint? Guys, social media is free. There are people that are out there that are doing it great. I know Bill Halstad is one of your great friends, Dave, and I've seen him. I'm certainly willing to help people with their social media. I have social media gurus that I'm still working with to create video, but it's about content creation, which Dave talked about. Dave was on my podcast. If you guys should hit Dave on the value of content creation. But I'm telling you this, if you're not hustling on social media, you're going to be left behind by somebody who is. We sold 10 homes 2 weeks ago. 5 of which came from my social media presence and from me working social media like crazy, right? And posting the homes and going and views, creating competition. Please, I beg of you, if you really want to hustle, social media is a big piece. Number 2, T.
Time out. Before we get too far into this, I want to first of all remind you guys, any questions you have, put them in comments down below. If you are in our Facebook group, we are posting some of the things that Glenn Bell is sharing in real time. I do want to put a footnote on the heart piece, because whether you're reaching out to a realtor or you're reaching out to a past customer, that's the script. I just, before this thing kicked off, I'm going to be posting an article called the Scriptapalooza Refi Playbook, because let's face it, there is a lot of refis in today's market to be had. And if you listen to the script that every top producer is using, it starts with, how are you doing? With real curiosity and real interest in how the family's doing. And same thing goes for realtors. So I do want to shine a light on that playbook, because as I hear Glenn going through this, called a playbook for being contagious.
Formula. Right.
Yeah, it works with realtors and it works with families. Mm-hmm. And I'm also catching a common thread here, is that it's never been easier to get realtors on the phone or in Zoom. And that's the same thing with families that, let's face it, news and forbearance and interest rates, it's the top headline in America. So for any loan officer that's listening to this, either 1, you don't have enough realtors that are contagious to you, or 2, you don't have enough refis. Guys, I put a playbook in the show notes. It will be posted on my LinkedIn profile by the end of the day. But I just want to push everybody to make sure you're calling out and you're just saying, how are you doing? It's never been easier to get your 30 conversations a day or your 30 calls a day than right now. So let me know if you have questions for Glenn, and keep it rocking, bro. I just wanted to connect the dots that what's right for realtors is also what's right for refis.
Yeah, there's no question. And 30 calls a day, hell, my guess is most branch managers would like 3 calls a day. Because let's be honest, most people are probably making 0 calls a day when it's all said and done. How do I know that? Because I work with a lot of you on the side, all right? So we talked about the importance of social media. That, I would say social media now is more important than ever. And it is the #1 generator of new business, new contacts. And as Bill Halstead talks about, building an audience. I can build an audience of 10,000 people pretty fast, but it's different. It is the new normal. And those who understand that, I'm telling you, are going to take off. And those who don't are going to be left behind. And I see agents all the time. I have them. I know them that are refusing. They're continuing to do business the same way. And I sit there and I go, oh my God. In answer to your question, Dave, things are different, right? It's like walking into a restaurant. We went and we ate at a restaurant and the people are walking in with their masks on. And I'm going, how are you going to eat with your mask on? Sooner or later, the mask's going to have to come out. And I think that realtors and loan originators are just like those people. As things are beginning to open up and emerge, some of us still have our masks on and they have no idea why they have their masks on. And they're listening to other people and they're not taking control of that information. Let's do T. This is a simple one, but it's so simple that nobody really does it, right? And I think we got 7,000 views or something when I did this on the attitude workout. And I just want you to take an inventory of this. How am I saying thank you? Am I really saying thank you? What are my numbers for saying thank you? Is my thank you hollow or is it meaningful? There's 50 different speakers that tell you about saying thank you and 5 handwritten notes and all this. But I believe that it's time to rewrite the script for thank you. I believe it's time to reintegrate what thank you means. And it's so easy, but you know what? None of us do it, right? And the one thing I always say is don't tell me you know it. Tell me how good are you at it? And it's like what I would love to do is find out who is the #1 person who has built their business on the quote unquote thank you note. There's a book called Giftology that I forget the gentleman's name. He's in a mastermind with me and Jeffrey Gittimer, big cut guy. It talks about sending gifts on every day except Christmas, right? And so I just think, and even I don't say thank you enough. I don't reach out. I don't take the 2 or 3 minutes, but I think it's going to be really, really important when you do. And you know what? It takes hustle. It takes time. It takes a mindset. It takes a hustler's mentality to execute thank you. L, right?
Wait a minute. I got that thank you. There's 2 sides to the thank you, guys. So there's the first thing, thank you, and meaning it and saying it often. I can't remember who I interviewed that did this, talked about one of the best ways of getting meetings with realtors, engaging with realtors, is giving them a recommendation. Again, a sincere one. Like if this is someone that you like and you respect, give them a recommendation on LinkedIn. Comment to their things. So all those things, engaging, saying thank you is a great way to do it. But guys, one of my favorite strategies that's come out of my interviews this year is with Jeremy Forcier, that when a client says thank you to him, they're in process and they get that clear to close or they get that approval, they say thank you to him. He has trained himself to send a very specific email saying, we loved helping you. And then, can you help me with something? My goal this year is to work with more people I like. Can you introduce me to 2 people I should know and I can help? And guys, he's killing it. So he's looking for the thank you from the client in process, and then he's sequencing asking for business. And guys, looking at Jeremy's metrics, this is going to be an extra 3 to 5 loans a month just because he's waiting for the thank you and then he is asking. And again, there's no harm in that. I mean, if you give good advice and good service, the best way you can serve a family is to get referrals from them and serve those realtors. So it's not a selfish thing. It's a strategic thing. So I want you guys to think of thank you. You need to put more thank yous out in a sincere way. Don't do like I'm doing thank yous just to be saying thank you. It's got to be sincere. It's got to be real. And then I want you to be listening for that thank you. And that is the time that you ask for the business in a very simple, in a very strategic way. Keep it rocking, bro. But that one right there could be an extra loan. And depending on how big your funnel is, just saying more thank yous and asking referrals on the back end of a thank you, we could just stop this call and everybody listening to it could have got more business if you just discipline yourself to do it.
And to your point, and to my point, right? It is the new normal. So getting realtors, becoming attractive to realtors, to becoming contagious to realtors, it's going to be a whole new deal, right? I mean, business is not the same. And what Jeremy did and what Dave just talked about was a quote unquote thank you strategy, was a quote unquote methodology of saying, you know what, this thing called thank you, it's something we know we should do, but I'm going to take it to a new level and I'm going to create, I'm going to scheme, I'm going to strategize, I'm going to implement, and we're going to make it happen. And he's turning that into 36 new loans. And I guess my point is what's your thank you strategy? What's your thank you program? And do you do metrics for it? Because I believe that the agents that, and it's a re-engagement tool that really get it, right? Look, I know realtors. And what if you were to help agents come up and create their thank you strategy? What if you did a Zoom call that said, loan originator creates new client retention tool, come to my free webinar today. And you just copy Jeremy's thing if Jeremy would let you. But like, realtors don't say thank you enough or at all. I'm friends with them. I'm like, hey, what's your thank you strategy? I have none. Do you even write thank you notes? No. Why? Because we're on to the next deal. We're on to the next deal. We're on. Not every realtor, but I would say 8 out of 10. And if you want to become attractive and contagious to a realtor and want to have fun and want to lead with your heart and you want to uplift them to say, hey, I got a program that I could install into your CRM. And again, if you guys have watched me on Mortgage Coach, it's all about getting the realtor's CRM. I got a program I'd love to institute with you. I'd like to stand by your side and I'd like to engage your client base in a quote unquote thank you strategy. Here's what I know. They'll get at least one transaction a month. There's no doubt about it, especially if their thing is big. All right, so enough on thank you. We're down to L in the hustle formula. And I always love to ask this, and I know I've asked it before. And Dave, let's see if you got the answer. What is the difference between arrogant and confident?
Intention?
Dave? No.
Intention?
Not intention, but it's close.
I guess that's manipulation. What's the difference between manipulation?
Right.
Intention.
I don't know. Is anybody, I can't see the chat box. Is anybody coming up with it? Maybe they've heard me before. We got anybody? What's the difference? So here's the thing. There's a lot of arrogant loan originators out there. I hear realtors all the time. I would use him. I know he's good, but he's super arrogant, right? And he walks in and thinks his shit doesn't stink or whatever. Big complaint from realtors. What they don't want is an arrogant LO. And let's be honest, a lot of the loan originators that I work with, they think there are some arrogant ass real estate agents. So I think this is an important thing. Do we have anybody chiming in on what they think that what it is or no?
I have not seen. Come on, guys, one more time. Let's see if anyone has an answer. So confidence is arrogance under control. Nope, we do not have the answer.
So this is the L in the hustle formula. I think this is just important. The difference between arrogance and confidence is this thing called likability, right? It's likability. The question is how likable are you? And if you want to increase your likability, everything that we've talked about in the hustle formula will help you. I always love to ask people, how do you know that somebody likes you, and they're like, well, they'll return your call, they may refer you, they talk to you, they smile at you. And I'm like, you know what, have you ever smiled, talked to, or referred somebody you didn't necessarily like? Yes. Well, that doesn't mean they like you, but the point is you like them. And so what I want to talk about in the hustle formula is becoming around like-minded people, becoming more likable to your customers, becoming more likable to their client bases, but most importantly, helping those realtors become more likable. You may know some realtors that have trouble in the likability arena, right? And that could be a tough subject, but when we talk about leading with your heart and uplifting, to have that conversation carefully with a top agent that may not be likable, to say, you know what, I have a program, here we go, another webinar, right? COVID-19 loan originator comes up with marketing program based on likability. Boom, 10 different things, do your webinar, realtors are coming, find the most likable realtor in your marketplace, put them on Zoom and ask them how come they're so likable. You guys know who the most likable realtors are in your marketplace for sure, right? So I've given you 2 great ideas on how to zoom in realtors and their clients if you want to. So likability factor, do you have it? On a scale of 1 to 10, how likable are you? Get with your friends and or competitors that are honest and say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likable am I? Not a fun conversation. I've had that. So I do my best to work on lowering my arrogance score and upping my confidence score through the gas of likability. I just think it's something we all need to really be cognizant of when it comes to it.
So guys, headline idea is how to become more likable in the virtual economy, or how to become more virtually likable. Let's face it, guys, there's a whole new world in how we interact with people. And it's still one of the most important things to trust is eye contact. And just remind you guys, the camera is the audience. Looking at me on the screen is not eye contact. So it's okay to look on the screen, like I'm looking on the screen a lot, but I'm also looking at the camera, going back and forth. But guys, you could do a whole series on becoming likable in the new virtual world, because it's different. There's nuances, there's background issues, there's lighting issues, there's a lot of things that go into being likable virtually that don't apply to in person. Glenn, before we move off of that, you gave one tactical suggestion, which is, get feedback from people that know you, and that you can trust their feedback. Give us one more tactical suggestion on how to do some self-assessment on where we stand from a likability perspective.
Well, that's a good question, right? How do we become more likable? I think ultimately you become more likable when you can create information, content, or you can create solutions for people that are hurting, which is really, this is where it gets back to. Let's go back to this. I believe likability has a lot to do with value. What are you doing for the customer, on behalf of the customer, before you even ask that customer for a referral, right? So that's the self-analysis question, maybe, Dave, that you're looking for, that everybody should be asking. What am I doing for my community, on behalf of my community, before I even ask them for business, whether that's virtual or in person? And I think a lot of people will go, I'm not doing anything for them when it's all said and done, which, again, if you're giving value, you're going to become more likable in the right way. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. In community, I'd love anybody to throw on that. I mean, a couple things I know is that people that listen more than talk are more likable. Like, I know that if I'm talking to someone and they're asking me questions and listening like they care, I like that person. Yeah. So listening more versus talking more. And I have a feeling that a lot of you guys out there, where you sit on the likability, and what you can do to improve. But the 2 things I would just make sure everybody in the community thinks: ask better questions, listen better, and then create more tangible value for people. Like, people like real value, not fluff. Again, the more TCAs that you give, the more likable you'll be.
Right.
How to put a little mortgage coach plug in there. If anybody is listening, you've got questions for Glenn Bill, put them in comments below. And if you do have ideas and suggestions to be more likable, we'd love to see what those are, and we can keep talking about them.
Yeah, I mean,
Back to you, brother.
Certainly knowing their names, certainly knowing their kids' names. I've had realtors at grievance committee, and this was my, I'm like, do you know how many kids they have? No. I'm like, you've been showing them homes for 2 months and you have no idea how many kids they have. Do you know what they do? So, I mean, that's just the personal interest, lead with the heart thing. But, to know their children's names is a pretty big thing.
You just made such a great point. I interviewed Dale Vermillion last week, and in my mind, there's a lot of great coaches and leaders and trainers in the mortgage industry, but when it comes to lead conversion, Dale is the man. And he was my mentor 22 years ago. I had him come in, and I learned so many things that I use today. But when I asked him, Dale, what are the most important things to lead conversion? He goes, first of all, we need to stop talking about LC lead conversion. And we need to, and the most important thing is to be a life changer. Like the best conversion, they're not doing a transaction. They are finding out what the family's long-term and short-term goals are, and then they're delivering solutions. So that just made me think of, you want to be more likable? Know the kids' names, know what people's long-term goals are. Don't be a transaction loan officer that just knows what rate, what payment, what program. It's about going beyond the transaction. And that goes for realtors too. Do you know what your real estate agents, 2-year, 3-year, and hearing from Glenn Bill here that really we all need a 16-month plan. You're going to be more likable if you are talking about, hey, what's your 16-month plan? I heard from this top realtor that things aren't going to change and there's going to be, this period for the next 16 months. What are your goals now and what are your goals 16 months from now? You'll be more likable. So anyways,
that's
love
great.
it, dude.
Yeah, it's called, future casting, right? It's
right.
Literally, we tell our realtors on the Source of Sales High Performance Facebook group that I have, like, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you could close your eyes and tell me where you see yourself in 90 days when we are literally at the listing appointment, and to get those people thinking 90 days out, 6 months out, a year, whatever it takes. But to help people grow their future, and what happens when you engage people and you become interested in their future, they are seeing you by their side in the future, right? Mr. LO, thanks for asking me. I really see myself doing 100 transactions. How do you see that happening? Who do you see in your life? What does your house look like? What does your car look like? Tell me about what your kids look like. Are there more kids? And who's your favorite loan originator standing right next to you, walking you through this future casting exercise? So we do future casting exercises with loan originators and show them how to do that with realtors, which places them, it's called anchoring, right? NLP, all that stuff in the mind. So, that likability thing, if all you did was the next 2 weeks during COVID, because it's still not open, is get books on likability, how to build rapport, how to connect, right? How to become attractive. And this little book here, The ABCs of Attitude, that we wrote, will give you, I think, one of the fastest ways to become more attractive. And that's what this book is about. This book is about, very simply, this: the most successful loan originators, the most successful realtors, the most successful business owners, and the most successful families all have one thing in common, and it's this thing called attitude. And when you go to the University of Attitude Facebook page or the Source of Sales, you'll see those 35 workouts. And I end it with the same thing. You cannot win in business and you cannot win in your life unless you win in your mind first, which, Dave, we talked about, and it's just impossible. So, my goal and my passion is to help all of you win in your mind first, because there's so many people that are telling you the wrong things. There's so much misinformation in the media. I would just tell you, shut off your TV for 30 days and see how great you feel. It's an election year, which is crazy. The only media you should be checking out is the Get Attitude podcast, which is right there. We'd love you to sign up for that. We got some unbelievable guests there. I think I sent you Casey Crawford's in for Mason. I think he was a mortgage coach, or we're working on getting Casey.
Yeah, we've got a lot of loan officers at Movement that use
Mortgage. They're good.
Yeah,
a lot of them. And we've had Steve Jacobson from Fairway, and we've had Austin Lahr. We've had some. Bill Hart's been on there. So
it's a great podcast, guys. I listened to it. I was honored enough to be part of it, and there's just a lot of great leaders, and there's a lot of great mortgage professionals that are part of that. So I can't recommend, Glenn's podcast. It's a must listen to.
A quick plug. My brother is on. My brother is a licensed counselor, mental health counselor, and addictions counselor. And we talk about marriage a lot, and we talk about addiction a lot. So if anybody out there, right, because we know your personal life affects your business life. Absolute gold, the Brian Bill podcast. It's like $800 to $1,200 worth of counseling for free. So if you're out there and you're going, I need help, check us out this week. It'll be good. Okay, so now I think we have to end in the hustle formula, right? And the E in hustle is something that has made me millions. It is something that when I was a 19-year-old real estate agent, made me the #1 salesperson in my 73-man office, because I didn't know much. And you may be a beginning loan originator going, how am I going to do this? How am I going to build it? I know that we all compare ourselves to other people, especially top producers, and we all can't be Nicole, we can't all be Dale, we can't all be the top. Sometimes you got to start from somewhere. And I'm going to tell you in the hustle formula, the E is amazing. You talk about being attractive and contagious. I am going to tell you the #1 thing that will help you become attractive and contagious. And that's this thing called enthusiasm. It's called enthusiasm. It's similar to being uplifting, but enthusiasm is what's the spirit inside of your gut. And do you have true excitement about what you do? And a lot of times I tell people it doesn't really matter what your job is. The only thing that really matters is how well you do your job. And if you can fall in love and be enthusiastic about how well you do your job, that's going to be the key to your success. Now, hopefully you all love loan origination. We all know that there's some not great things about loan origination. We all know that we've sat there and put our heads in our hand and gone, why am I in this business? But don't let the current situation, do not let the new normal, do not let a bad peer or a bad manager or a toxic environment ruin what could be possibly one of the most profitable business ventures that you've ever been in your life. There's a lot of people doing a lot of great things in the loan business right now. There's a lot of people making a ton of money, and they still are going to make a ton of money. And it's okay to make a ton of money. And it's okay to be enthusiastic about it. I mean, we're here to make a profit. We're here to do more loans. I am here to get your mind right and to help you become more enthusiastic, to help you dig inside your mind and inside your heart and go, why is this career the best for me? Because no matter what your rates are, if your script sucks, if you don't know what the hell you're doing, if you're really enthusiastic, there's a lot of customers that will go, I don't know, I just like the guy. He's so damn enthusiastic. And if you don't know, just always remember to say this, I'll find the answer enthusiastically. I didn't know what I was doing when I started in real estate, but I had a high likability score because people knew I was broke. Actually, if people know you're broke, you can use that to build your business, believe it or not. People are helpers in general. And so if you're a starting loan originator out there, I'm just going to tell you, don't let anybody kill your spirit. Protect your spirit. Stay enthusiastic. Learn from top producers. They'll help you. And understand that using this hustle formula, using the 6 things that we just talked about are going to get you more loans. They're going to make you more attractive. They're going to make you more contagious. And And I wish you all the best. I hope we haven't gone over too much, but that's the hustle formula for
No,
in building
no.
real contagious and attractiveness.
Well, we got another 20 minutes here, Bill or Glenn.
Cool.
I call you Bill, like your
It
last
happens.
name. You know, it's like we're on the football field.
Right.
You know, Savage and Bill show here.
Right.
So a couple things. I want to spend a few minutes and talk about enthusiasm, and I want to talk about it from two perspectives. One, self-assessment of enthusiasm, and then what are tactical things you can do to grow your enthusiasm. I also want to talk about cultural enthusiasm, you know, like a team, because I have noticed that when I interview top performers, and one of the greatest of all time in the mortgage coach community is Jeremy Forcier. I still remember, this was years ago, I asked him this question, like, you know, what's your X factor? You know, what is it that if you had one thing that is most important to you? And he said his energy. And I think, you know, energy and enthusiasm, I think they're almost the same. You can't have contagious enthusiasm and not have great energy. And you can't have great energy and not have great enthusiasm. I mean, I just don't see those operating separately. I think they're the same. So before we get into that, in mortgage coach community, I'm going to give you, I have like 2 tactics that I think are super on point. I'm going to get a few from Glenn. Glenn, before we do that, I want to make sure everybody has written down your formula for hustle. So let's assume that everybody who's listening to this, they've written down hustle. And then I want you to give us like 3 to 5 words that we could put by each letter, so everybody's got something that can help them remember the hustle, the Glenn Bill hustle worksheet. So H stands for what? H?
Heart. Have one.
Heart. One word, heart.
Heart.
And heart, and I'm just going to add, and truly care.
Yeah, I would say have one. Have one. A heart. Lead with heart, right? And engage with heart. In other words, become a more emotional being with your customers. So it's tactical, right? Mortgage coach, tactical. It's numbers, it's not subjective. But I think the people that are going to be killing it, TCAs are great. All that's great. I'm not saying you got to do that. But when they make their decision, they're going to probably end up making their decision on who led with their heart. You know what?
Absolutely.
This guy, maybe his rate's 1/8 of a more, but boy, he really gets us and he understands us, right? So have a heart, lead with heart. You uplift. Go ahead.
No, go uplift. You uplift.
Write this down. Everyone I encounter will feel better after encountering me than they did before meeting me. That's the goal. Especially the shitty service person at the restaurant when you want service right now, and all the people that put you off, and all the customer service people that don't live up to what you think. Instead of making them feel bad, uplift them, right? Because that will uplift you. And trust me, I'm a nut on customer service. But I found I don't feel any better when I pound people that give me poor customer service. And the other thing I will tell you, I heard from my good friend Eric Salzman over the weekend, was don't be afraid to tell somebody they're doing a great job, right? I promise you. And say this, hey, has anybody ever told you what a great job you're doing? You know how many people, when you are out in the public, when you ask them that question, go, oh my God, nobody. Like, when's the last time your boss said it? Never. That's just what I mean by uplift. Just ask them, you know, that's what I mean. Before and after. Everybody will feel better. Hopefully everybody watching here feeling a little bit better after hearing me than not hearing me. S, social media. Your goal should be to double your social media imprint in 30 days. So if you had 1,000 friends on Facebook, get 2,000. You got 100 followers on LinkedIn, get 200. You got 2 YouTube subscribers, get 4. Instagram, whatever social media you're looking at choosing, your goal should be to double in 30 days and to have a plan and to seek out people that can help you do it. And here's the great thing. You need to try to do it without spending a ton of money, right? I have people that you can spend money that we can do that with. But what I found is that you got to kind of learn on your own before you like hyper accelerate into social media. I think so many people, you know, they just want to close their eyes, turn on the switch, write a check and say, I'm going to be socially rocking. And the bottom line is, doesn't happen that way. And you really got to believe in the power of social media and the idea that it's free, and the idea that, guys, you're not loan originators anymore. Loan origination, kind of your business, but not really. You are marketers. You are influencers. You are in the video production business. It's just not, and this is for realtors. This is for insurance. This is for all the areas that I train and keynote speak for people in, right? Your job, the new normal is this. You're just not doing what you're just doing anymore. And you're going to have to be able to pivot, and you're going to have to be able to take on more tasks. You're going to have to become more skilled. And that's what I mean by social media. Social media is going to be the key. And that's how people want to receive information. That's how they want to figure out if they're attracted to you. And you know what? If some of you, if you're not good on video, you need to get good on video, because people will eliminate you. Understand, everybody is Googling you after you get referred. How are you showing up socially and on the internet? So those are my thoughts on that. T, you want me to go to that? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Right, thank you. So the bottom line is, right, we all know this thing about thank yous, right? We all know, but why don't we do it? And so it's like, go to my attitude workout, again, at Source of Sales, and pull up thank you. I do 13 minutes on thank you. And it's the mindset. Why don't we do what we know we should do? And the reason we don't do what we know we should do is because, you know what, it's easier just not to. And so the whole idea on thank you and creating a strategy is, you got to make it not easy, right, to not thank people. See, it's easy not to thank them. But when it becomes in your mind and in your heart and in your gut that it's wrong, that I'm not showing appreciation for those people that are putting money in my pocket, and it becomes a way of life, your thank you strategy will, number one, be created, but number two, it will pay you. It'll pay you like you've never seen. All right, likability. The difference between confidence and arrogance is likability, right? Ask somebody, go ask your 5 closest friends on what your likability score is. Go think about the 3 people that you like the most and say, why do I like them so much? And I think what Dave said is so brilliant. Oh yeah, they always listen to me. And you're like, oh my God, I have friends that are not big talkers, and I sit there and, I go out with them, and then I wake up the next day and I go, oh my God, I dominated the conversation again. But God, do I love them, because they just let me talk all the time, right? So just the concept of likability, read a book on likability, but mostly that gets into the empathy factor, but say, you know what, I need to become a more likable person. I mean, all of us do, right? And then E is that enthusiasm. And Dave was like, how do you become more enthusiastic? Well, write this down. The more you know, the more enthusiastic you'll be. The more knowledge that you gain, the more knowledge you have, know more, you'll become more enthusiastic. Interview more. Try to figure out how you can find other people and interview them more. And whether it's on a Zoom or a Facebook or whatever, that's what I'd recommend. Listen more. I can tell you this, when you listen more, you start thinking and you start creating as you're listening. And this is a very tough thing to do for our A salespeople, but you got to listen more. Most importantly, if you want to increase your enthusiasm, you got to exercise more. Now, look, this is a mortgage show, but I don't know. Are you exercising? Are you walking a mile a day? My prescription for increased enthusiasm, 5K every day. Whether you walk it slow, it's 3.1 miles. A slow walk, that's a 45-minute walk. And if you did half of it in the morning and half of it before you go to bed, very, very doable. You'll be amazed at what 5K a day will do for you. But exercise will increase your enthusiasm. And then you need to increase your relationships. You need to increase your time with people that have natural enthusiasm. You need to increase the time you spend on listening to a Get Attitude podcast as opposed to listening to national talk show media at night, which is nothing but negative and horrific. So those are just 5 different ways to increase your enthusiasm. And there we go. So yeah, that's what I got for you. That's the hustle formula, baby.
I love the hustle formula, guys. I just wrote it down myself for myself. I highly recommend write it down for yourself. I think it's a brilliant formula, great reminders. So let's talk about enthusiasm. What can we do to grow our enthusiasm? And I read a book earlier this year called It Takes What It Takes by Trevor Moawad, who I'm going to be interviewing this Thursday. But I listened to that book at the beginning of the year and I got a lot from it. But in preparation for the interview, I listened to it again. And one of the things that I've noticed, I do it myself and I see a lot of people doing it. And it comes from a story that he tells when he worked for Alabama and he was brought in there to help them win multiple championships. And it was like, what are the things we can do to improve the team chemistry? And he said, the number one thing we decided we were going to work on for one of the seasons is to get players during the game and during the season to say less negative stuff. I think the actual words he said was stupid shit. And he does this whole formula where people, when you think something negative, it has a negative impact. But when you say it out loud, it's got 7 times the impact.
Right.
And it impacts everybody around you. And I want you guys to think about, in today's marketplace, how often are you reading something? Are you complaining? And I notice myself, I mean, I'm doing this. I'm complaining more than ever, like, why aren't businesses opening up? And, I'm thinking it, I'm saying it, and it's impacting my enthusiasm, to think these negative thoughts and then to verbalize these negative thoughts, which, by the way, are things I have zero control over. Government's going to do what they're going to do in Oregon when they're going to do it. And so I want you guys to all think about how often you say things out loud that are negative. They are not creating cultural enthusiasm for you or the people around you. And so I think in today's climate, and probably for the next 16 months, we've got a president election coming. We are not going to get back to normal. We all live in different states where people are doing things that appear fairly random as to how we treat businesses and how we're going to get back to normal. I would just, first of all, come check out my interview this Thursday at noon with Trevor Moawad. You can hear the stories firsthand. But guys, what we say out loud has 7 times the impact of what we say to ourselves. Again, we all have this monkey brain that says all kinds of crazy shit to ourselves, but we can control that to an extent, but we can totally control what we say outside, what we say out loud. So I just push everybody in the mortgage coach community. I want you, first of all, read the book, check out my interview, but think about what you're saying out loud. So Glenn, we got 6 minutes left, and dude, every time you come in, I just get fired up. I mean, I love your energy. I love your hustle formula. What are some, I mean, that walk, 5K walk, I wrote that down. You've never met someone that is hitting their exercise goals that doesn't have better energy. Usually when we don't have our best energy, it's because we're not hitting our exercise goal. What's another thing? And then let's go into wrap-up mode with closing thoughts.
Sure. So when you were out running, I gave 5 different things. And I just think it's real simple. Know more, right? It's
no more.
We need to know more. And so what could be very helpful is if people are listening, just to put in, most inspirational book, the best book on enthusiasm, the best personal development book that our community can share. I think that would be good. And just like you did, Dave, it takes what it takes. I think that was the name of the book. And I think ultimately, my guess is the more we know about being enthusiastic, the more we are going to be enthusiastic. I mentioned interview more, and I just think a very simple goal. When I do my keynote speaking, we talk about have a mentor and copy them as attitude booster number 5. And I always challenge our audience and my attendees and the people, is there one person that could change it all for you if you got to interview them? I mean, is there one person that's killing it financially, spiritually, health, business, family? Go interview them. And if you just did it once a month, if you said, look I just want to reach out. I don't want you to be a mentor. That's heavy. But God, if I could take you to lunch so I could learn how you do what you do, you'd be amazed at the instant uptick in your life and in your income that could bring. Let me ask you this, mortgage coach community. Is there somebody you're afraid to ask to lunch in your local market? That's what I'm getting at. Is there one relationship that you would like to create by reaching out? I became friends with the president of $1 billion bank simply because I reached out and said, I love what you do. One of the nicest guys ever. Now we go to lunch twice a year, all because I took the opportunity to interview somebody. So my challenge is, you may be a little afraid, stay on the hustle formula, guys. And you know how excited you're going to be? Dave, look how excited. You're getting ready to interview Trevor Moed. You're freaking bouncing, right?
Pumped.
Like when you get to actually interview or buy lunch for somebody that's freaking awesome, that will increase your enthusiasm. You'll be talking about it with everybody. So here's my challenge. I don't know who it is, but I hope you put it in the comments and I hope you make it happen. Listening more. The power of listening is simply this. It generates and it stimulates your brain. And we always want to listen because we want people to hear us. But I know the more I listen, the more creative I get and the more ideas I get. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to talk about that. And I become more enthusiastic after I listen. So, look unfortunately, keynote addresses and seminars are done for now. Like I'm in that business. My business totally shut off. What did I do? I went to video 35 straight days. I ramped up my audience. COVID's not stopping me. I just switched. So to listen more is good. We talked about exercising more, 5K a day. And then just to increase your relationships when it's all said and done. It's not about the breadth of your relationships. It's about the depth of your relationships. And a goal could simply be this. Figure out who the top 10 people in your life are, especially from a mortgage referral type thing, or and just, you can do it personal. But the bottom line is if you're needing more business and wanting more loans, say, all right, who are the 10 people that have supported me most in my business? And I would increase the depth of that relationship. And I think that is going to give you more energy. You're going to come out of there. Those people love you already. And what you're going to find is that they love you more than they thought. And they're probably going to have great ideas to help you even more. And that's going to fire you up. So those are 5 different ways to do it.
So guys, this call has been awesome. This Friday at 9 o'clock on our weekly Friday Mastermind, I have Craig Sewing, the founder and leader of the American Dream Show, as my guest. And check it out. The topic is the art and science of the interview. So Craig and I am going to be sharing what I consider to be my best practices from the interviews that I've done. He's going to share his best practices from the interviews that he's done. And he's a guy who has done thousands of interviews. He has he had a daily real estate show for many, many years, and he's going to share what his best practices were to interviewing. Because I'm with you, Glenn. I do believe that I never thought of do interviews for enthusiasm. Like I never came at it from that, but you're right. You know more. I mean, it's a huge enthusiasm booster. I mean, maybe I never thought about it, but that might be one of the reasons why I've done this for over 10 years is this is like an energy source for me.
No doubt.
Is doing interviews. I never thought that, but I think I'm going to be thinking about that. I think it is. I've always done it because it was more strategic. I knew the community of Mortgage Coach was awesome. And I knew that if I interviewed people from our community, it would make this community grow and be more successful. And that was my why, but I think my why has to do with enthusiasm. So come check us out. Now, guys, Glenn has dedicated, countless hours to this community. and giving back. He has been in, multiple Wednesdays. He's in this call. So the best way to say thank you, assuming you got a takeaway, assuming you like him. Like if you don't like him, don't worry about it. It's cool. But if you do like Glenn, guys, go connect in his community. Listen to his energy hour, or I think it's 15, 20 minutes in his Facebook group.
Yeah, it's called the Attitude Workout. So the Attitude Workout, it's on the University of Attitude, but it's also on Source of Sales, High Performance Sales for Realtors and Loan Originators. Those are two different platforms. 35 days, just do one a day. The Get Attitude podcast, we're everywhere. We do have a Facebook page. We'd love you to follow our Facebook page for the Get Attitude podcast. Hit me up on LinkedIn for sure. That would be great. Hey, Robert, thanks for posting that Source of Sales link. So hell, we're everywhere. University of Attitude on Facebook. Check us out there. LinkedIn, love to do LinkedIn stuff. We're going to probably be unleashing those attitude workouts on LinkedIn pretty soon. So I'm here to help you. Feel free to reach out anytime. If your company needs a keynote speaker, which I'm sure there's not going to be a lot of that, or they would like to interview me or whatever, we'd be happy to. If you know people with unbelievable attitudes, I would love to interview them on my podcast. So hit me up with some names. I'd love to promote you or somebody that you know.
Right on. So guys, make sure you check him out on multiple channels. Make sure you listen to at least one of his podcasts. Go through the names, see which one sounds most interesting to you, and just listen to at least one. That is the way to say thank you to Glenn Bill for all the time he's brought to the mortgage coach community. Also, I have interviewed Glenn so many times, I created a playlist in the Mortgage Coach channel called the Glenn Bill playlist. So dude, there's less than a half dozen people that I've made a playlist for, and you are one of those half dozen people, bro. So I appreciate you, bro.
I'm honored. Thank you so much. Fist bump.
Boom.
Families.
Fist bump, everybody.
I hope you got something out of this, and I look forward to seeing you on our different channels and engaging. Thank you, Dave. That was tons of fun as always.
All right. Take care, everybody. This call is a wrap. Have an awesome week.
All right. Bye, guys.